Good evening, my little angels. Vietnam is one of the top coffee-producing and exporting countries in the world, ranking second after Brazil. If you grow up in families from the Tây Nguyên, Central Highlands, you might already know how coffee is cultivated and how important this plant is to your region. Tonight, we'll dive into a folktale from the ethnic minority groups of the Tây Nguyên that revolves around coffee. This story unveils coffee's vital role in local customs, beliefs, and the lives of the communities there. Vietnam's Tây Nguyên consists of 5 provinces: Kon Tum, Gia Lai, Đắk Lắk, Đắk Nông, and Lâm Đồng, home to many ethnic minority groups such as Ede, Ba Na, Gia Rai, Mã, Cờ Ho, Sơ Đăng, and more. Tây Nguyên contributes to half of our country's coffee output, which is consumed domestically and exported worldwide. Tonight's story is called The Legend of the Coffee Tree. Let's listen together. Long ago, in a land where rivers and cascading waterfalls converged, there was a small village nestled amidst the green expanse of nature. The people there lived peaceful, content lives surrounded by whispering fields of maize and verdant cassava. The men were skilled hunters, fearless in the jungle, while the women wove intricate fabrics with deft, graceful hands. Life in the village was harmonious, a bond uniting everyone in shared purpose and joy. At night, the children could gather at the communal longhouse, the Nhà Rông, to listen to the elders' tales, story of brave villagers who once triumphed over wild beasts, securing a safe and prosperous life for all. During springtime, as the forest bloomed with white flowers and a gentle drizzle of spring rain graced the earth, the rhythmic sounds of gongs and drums reverberated throughout the hills, signaling the season of planting and joyous festivities. The flames in the Nhà Rong's hearth never dimmed, and the jars of rượu cần, the traditional communal wine, seemed never run to dry. Everyone danced, hand in hand, singing songs to pray for a bountiful harvest. The rain and sun always arrived as nature's gifts, blessing the maize with full kernels and the rice with heavy grains. The river and stream spirits remained tranquil, and the wild beasts stayed far from the village, leaving its people in peace. One radiant morning, as the golden rays of dawn burst through the dense veil of mist over the forest, the sound of a gong rang out from the Nhà Rông. It was the village elder summoning the people. One by one, they gathered before the longhouse, their faces eager, their steps quickened with curiosity. When all had assembled, the elder began to speak.
Today, our village welcomes a great joy. A child has been born, a son. To be a son of this village, he must grow to possess both wisdom and courage. He must have the strength of the tiger and the bear, the resilience of the python and the serpent, and legs swift as the antelope and the deer. Only then will his life and the life of this village flourish and thrive.
The villagers all made their way to the edge of the settlement, where the ceremony to cleanse the newborn took place beside the roaring waterfall. As the elder called upon the spirit of the rivers and mountains to bless and protect the child, each villager approached in turn, placing a gentle hand on the boy's head and offering words of good fortune. Cradled safely in his mother's arms, the boy squirmed and kicked with vigor. His sturdy physique, radiant brown skin, wide smile, and bright gleaming eyes brought unanimous nods of approval from the villagers.
He is truly one of us,
they said with pride.
Before long, he will grow into what the elder foretold. a strong and worthy son of this village.
The boy grew up healthy and strong, just like all the children of the village. But tragedy struck when he was only 3 years old. His father passed away, leaving him and his mother in hardship. Yet with the help of the generous villagers, they managed to adore. Surrounded by love and care, the boy developed a deep attachment to his village and cherished his people dearly. Time flew by, and the child soon matured into a robust young man. Like a lark of the forest, his voice resounded with the vitality of the mountains and rivers. The elder passed down to him the wisdom of the hunt, and the young man became a skilled hunter. Though his kindness set him apart, he never harmed gentle creatures. The deer and antelope in the forest regarded him as a companion, often lingering near him to play whenever he ventured into the wilderness. When he sang, the birds ceased their chirping, mesmerized by his melody. Fish still in the streams. The muntjac froze misstep, careful not to stumble into the ravines. His voice carried back to the village, soothing the weary souls of his people after a long, arduous day in the fields. However, peace was not meant to last. One morning, wildlife unfolded as usual. Young men checking their traps in the forest, young women washing cloth by the stream, and the children play outside the nyarong. A sudden calamity struck. From nowhere, an enormous straying bird appeared, its massive wings darkening the skies. With each mighty beat of its wings, a torrent of wind swept through the forest, causing trees to bend and sway in its quake. The bird descended with a thunderous crash into the heart of the village, its razor-sharp talons gleaming like spears of iron. Chaos erupted. No sooner had the bird's shadow fallen than loud squawks and the cries of the villagers filled the air. Houses collapsed beneath the bird's immense weight, and before villagers could react, it had snatched many people and flown off with them. Despair etched itself onto every face, and fear and confusion grabbed the community. The elder quickly commanded the remaining villagers to retreat deep into the forest for safety, but the young men, the bravest among them, refused to flee. They vowed to protect their home and destroy the bird. Armed with spears, bows, and arrows, they worked tirelessly. They built large traps and erected thick wooden stakes around the village, setting them in place to create a defense against the monstrous beast. The next morning, the stranger bird returned, following the same path it had taken the day before. As soon as it landed in the village center, its massive talons became entangled in traps from every direction. Spears and arrows flew at it, and heavy wooden logs came crashing down onto its body. The bird shrieked in rage, thrashing about as it fought to free itself. Though injured, the birds were ferocious and raged. It tore through homes and structures, spreading more destruction with each passing moment. Against this tremendous foe, the young men of the village fought with unwavering determination. Their weapons struck too, but lacked the power to bring the bird down. In the struggle, many fell victim to the beast's wrath. Some were struck down, others were carried up into the sky. Seeing the monstrous bird wreak havoc upon their lives, leaving pain and devastation in its wake, the village elder was left with no choice but to lead his people in search of a new land. They abandoned the soil that had nurtured them for generations, the home that held their memories and traditions, and set out on a perilous journey with heavy hearts. Their path was fraught with danger and hardship. Hunger and thirst gnawed at their strength, and illness clamped the weak along the way. They pressed on day after day through the dense, foreboding jungle. The forest only grew darker and thicker, an endless maze of shadow that seemed to mock their search for new hope. As night fell, the villagers could gather around a small fire, clinging to its warmth as the cold seeping into their bones. Sleep was fleeting and restless, for the cries of wild beasts echoed all around them, lurking in the blackness beyond the fire's glow. The elder, his hair now completely white, and his eyes deeply sunken, never slept. Each night he sat in silence by the flames, keeping watch over his people. Yet with every dawn he rose to lead them onward again. His frail body strengthened by sheer will, but as the day turned into weeks, their supplies ran low, starvation loomed, and despair crept into hearts of many. The young man, the orphan raised by the village's kindness, could no longer bear to see his people in such torment. He resolved to destroy the monstrous bird and end their suffering. When he confided in his mother, her tears betrayed her fear. But she knew his mind was set. The elder, hearing of the young man's determination, sat in contemplation before speaking.
I see the fire of resolve in your eyes, but know this, your enemy is 1,000 times larger than you, fiercer than anything you've ever faced. Many have perished at its claws because they possessed no weapon strong enough to match it. I've heard a tale, passed down from those who came before me, of a sacred metal that lies atop the highest, most distant mountain. It is said that this metal, cloaked in everlasting clouds, only reveals its gleam on the rare days the skies are bright. A weapon forged from this sacred metal is the only thing that can vanquish the beast. The path to this peak, however, is fraught with dangers unlike any you've encountered. Few who have sought it have ever returned. Are you prepared to face such trials?
With a hesitation, the young man replied,
Elder, my mind is set. No matter the trials ahead, I will not falter.
And so, with the blessing of his people and a final tearful embrace from his mother, the young man set out in the direction the elder had pointed. His journey was one of unrelenting challenge. He crossed raging river that threatened to sweep him away, and scaled waterfalls that roared with the fury of the storm. The jungle grew thicker with each step, its thorns tearing at his flesh, and vines clawing to pull him back. Predatory beasts stalked him, their eyes gleaming in the shadows, but his cunning and resilience kept him one step ahead. And so, the journey of the young man to find a way to help his village defeat the vicious birth and restore peace to their lives began. The path ahead promises to be filled with challenges and dangers. You know what? There are 3 lessons I've learned from the beginning of this story. First is the spirit of mutual care and support, the bond of love and solidarity within the community. Second, when difficulties arose, before anyone took on the responsibility to save everyone like a hero, The entire village worked together to endure hardship, guided by the elder, the leader of all. Here is no sense of reliance or dependence on the individual efforts and sacrifices of just one person for the collective good. Lastly, once you become a leader, you must take on the responsibility and do everything you can to guide your community through hardship. Let's stay tuned as we follow the brave young man on his courageous journey in the next part of the story. Today's story time is over. I wish my little loves a good night's sleep. I kiss you long on your foreheads. See you again next time.